Fashion design and garment creation truly is such a process, but I find we are our own worst critics when it comes to making mistakes. We're so harsh to judge ourselves, and I see so many people give up even before they've started. I recently just posted a picture on my Instagram account about a pair of trousers that I just made. And as usual, I sort of listed a few things that I would change for next time. It's a self-drafted pattern, and I've done the process, and I always say what I would change for next time. It's completely normal. And there was one comment in particular from Beauty Valued said, and I quote, "Possibly my favorite of all your creations. Love the details and good to see pros admit they still make mistakes. Thank you for sharing your talents and being real." Well, thank you very much for the lovely comment. But I just couldn't stop thinking about this part of it's good to see the pros still make mistakes. I really want to talk about this because it's not the first time I've had this comment, and I think it is so important and something that people miss all the time, and it's not really discussed. Welcome back, lovely ladies and gents. My name is Evelyn Wood, and I'm a vintage style dressmaker and sewing teacher. And as I said, I've been dressmaking my whole life, and I've really come to know the design process is a process, and it's something that a lot of people miss out. This is quite a different video for me to make. I just really want to talk to you about this topic and give you my thoughts, my opinions, and hopefully give you some encouragement to see that you're not making as many mistakes as you think that you might be. Now, I have received this sort of comment in many different versions before. Something along the lines of, it's good to see that professionals or, anything still make mistakes, and, that you're real, and I love that you show this, and, they draw inspiration from the fact that they've seen that it's a process, that you make mistakes, you learn, you keep going. That's how it works. And that's why a lot of my refashions, for example, I like to actually show you more the behind the scenes and the process involved, because I think it's, it's easy to show a step-by-step on how to do something, but it's quite different to explain why you've chosen to do something, or why not to do something, or why in fact you are doing this thing. What is the reasoning behind it all? It's a different process to go through in your mind when you're creating things, and it's a very, very important part of it. These are the trousers in question. I drafted these patterns based on another pattern for a sort of 20s style pant that I had made already, that I drafted, and it had pleats down the front and different style of buttons. You might have seen them with a little sort of more sailor style. So I used that pattern as the basis and changed it up, created a waistband, took out the pleats, created this side opening here. And one of the things that I would change for next time in doing this process is I probably made this too long. So, I can actually get this on my hips only opening up one button less. So I kind of overestimated how wide my hips were and how I needed to get it on and off. And as usual, in me trying to make my legs look longer, always leave the hems as long as I can, and I kind of knew that I'd probably end up making it too long and it will be impractical to wear. Once I actually had them on, I'd be stepping on them, which turned out to be the case, and so I'm going to hem them shorter. And so, for example, this is part of the process. So in a design house, for example, this is what you call product development. So as they never create just one toile, one sample, and it's perfect. That never happens. So it's actually called product development. You have a whole team of people that would implement this. You have the designer that might just create the design that they want, but then you actually need to make it practical and make it work. You need to select the right fabrics, you need to create the pattern, it has to fit right, it has to, there's many, many different tests, and of course there is a lot of numbers side of product development, but we won't go into that. And this is why it's a process. So the first time you make anything, there are many, many iterations before it's perfect. Think about how many iPhone versions do you think they went through before they released the first one? They would have had so many different samples before they got to that one at the end that was released. After testing, after trial and error, they got to the end one. Often the samples that you see in design houses they'll go through many the product development, say have, toile after sample garment, every time making slight changes to the pattern, maybe altering the fabric wasn't quite right, different finishes, until they get to their sample. And quite often the sample that you actually see go down the runway, for example, or is what they call their sample garment, their collection, is actually not the one that will go into final production. Even from that sample, that one that you see go down the catwalk, even that they take all the pictures of, is in fact their sample, and they'll still make changes and small iterations into the pattern and the fit from that garment. It's just that you don't notice it, and of course it's not really talked about, of course. It's part of the process. It's what happens. And that's why going through the whole process of making my trousers or my pants, that I didn't for one moment think that when I got to that point thinking that I wanted to change it, thinking, oh, I've made a mistake. That's not how at least my brain works in that sort of thing, because I understand it is a process. And even when I first started sewing, fortunately I wasn't plagued too much with the thoughts of, if I made a mistake, that it was considered bad and that I should give up and that I'm hopeless at this and should not continue. Fortunately, I already looked at it with a view of, I found a way not to do it next time, right? I know okay, I've seen this didn't work. I know what I can do next time. I can see it, I'll fit it differently, I'll create the pattern, I'll do a different finish on it to make it better and better every time. That's always what I strive for. Now, there are true mistakes, or boo-boos, as I say. You can sew the wrong sides of the fabric together, or put the zip in the wrong way, or, things like that. And they're mistakes, and they usually require one of these. But why do you think I have so many of these unpicks around the studio here, right? Everybody still makes those boo-boos, or those kinds of mistakes. We'll call them boo-boos. They can be redone, that's fine. Everyone still does those, and that happens. And if you're just copying a pattern and just making it to that exact whatever it is, then, if something didn't go together properly, then yeah, that maybe is a mistake. But we're not really doing that. We're creating our own fashion. We are designing and making something unique, something that's fitted to us. So it's unique, it's different. It needs to be tested, it needs to be trialed. The first iteration of it is never going to be perfect. You'll find it's part of the process. You need to do a toile, you need to fit it, you need to trial different finishes on the different fabric choices that you've chosen to get that design right. And it all requires many iterations before it's perfect, and it's part of the process. Often I don't even discover things I want to change until I've actually worn the garment, and then I know my preferences of how I like it to fit, or if I find that in my activities that daily life I do, I need it to be designed in a different way so it's more practical for me. So these things that we always do, that we're just doing new versions, so I know next time I make these pants, for example, I'll know what I'll change to improve the design and get better and better every time, striving for excellence and keep learning the whole time. So as I said, this is kind of a different video. I really just want to show you that it really is a process. The first time you make something up from a pattern and it doesn't fit you and everything, it's considered the first iteration. That's it. Think of it, iPhone 0.001. It takes time to get to the one that you would say release to the world, and maybe even wear outside your sewing room if you're just starting. And just next time that you're sewing, to really come at it with a new vision and a new thought process, in knowing that this will happen, that it is part of the process. It's how you learn, it's how you'll get better, it's how you'll know what you do and don't like better, how you like things to fit on your body, is through the actual doing of it, through the process, through making mistakes. So don't be so hard on yourself next time you're sewing and it doesn't turn out quite as planned. Just brush it off and just know that you've done the best on this one. Keep a little journal, a sewing journal, so that you can know what you're going to change for the next one, so that you do learn and you do keep evolving your skills and learning more. This is particularly hardest when you're first starting, because it does take a while until you do some things successfully. It's a lot of fails at the start, and I know how hard it is. But once you get through that, you can really start then, creating your own things, and you'll see that you get better and better every time you do it. And it's a process. Even the pros still make mistakes. It happens to everybody, and it is part of the process. So please remember next time, and don't judge your work so hard or get so discouraged if you do make things that don't turn out the way you like. It's part of it. I hate seeing people get stuck and, they're really just stuck on the mistakes they make, and they don't feel like their work is any good, and they keep comparing to other people and seeing what their work is. That's not the way that this goes, or should be going anyway. Your work is your work. You are where you are in your sewing journey, and that's okay. We all start at zero, and we all make mistakes along the way. All of us still make mistakes. It's part of the process, and half the fun. And it's the only way that you do actually get better and better. And I really want to see more people succeeding in sewing and dressmaking and fashion design. And I don't want to see people getting stuck on thinking that they're terrible for making these mistakes all the time. Now, I've rambled on a little bit here about my story. I would like to hear from you what you think about the subject of making mistakes in sewing and the design process. Anything here that's been a great takeaway for yourself? Or I always love, put your own input down there in the comments as well, so that we can all read through and learn from each other is even better. So thank you so much for watching. I really hope you have enjoyed this different sort of style, this more conversation-like video. Please leave your comments below. Like this video if you liked it. If you think that you know someone who needs this video, I'd be so grateful if you shared it. And until next time, bye. And I just want to give an extra shout out to Beauty Valued on Instagram, who made this comment that really made me not stop thinking about this actually. I love your valued comments. I do read them all. It's always good to see what intrigues you, what inspires you, and what things you get stuck on, so I can really, hopefully, make better videos for you. So thank you.